Real quick, this video is going to be brought to you by Fandominion. If you want some really cool anime merchandise and you also want to help support the channel, head over to Fandominion via my affiliate link and purchase some of this really cool merchandise. Right now, the entire site is 50% off. Grab some cool merchandise for yourself or for a loved one or a friend for anything for Christmas. Make sure to check out the size chart before you order. That is extremely important. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Two Blue Vortex discussion. Today I want to shift gears somewhat. We've been doing on the last few videos here on the channel where we've been bouncing back and forth between Naruto lore videos or Boruto manga discussions, and instead today I want to bring up a Patreon's fan theory because I found it interesting. Previously I said that I was going to move off of doing fan theory videos because I wasn't happy with the incorrect perception that was being built to the channel after having talked to a few of my peers over here on the YouTube community. But this one really stood out, and it's something that I thought would be a really good topic of discussion, particularly since they voiced a very strong opinion on something that I brought up on the channel last week. So I previously said I think that now that Boruto has come back to Konoha, granted he's left Konoha, but he came back to it nonetheless, that we ran the risk of Ada being able to use her Sharingan to track Boruto's location without any type of issues, because she originally made her deal with Boruto where she stated specifically that until he returned to Konoha, she wouldn't use her Sharingan to track his location, even if Shikamaru or Kawaki had asked her to do so. However, I think that the whole agreement is off now, but my patron sent me a pretty lengthy message on why they disagree, and they're bringing up some foreshadowing from Boruto Naruto Next Generations to support their point. So like usual, we're gonna bring it out to you guys out in the greater community. So this is what my patron said to me. I'm gonna sum it up here. So they said they believe that Ada will not reveal the location of Boruto to Kawaki. The reason why is because of Daemon. They say that Daemon will stop Ada from assisting Kawaki because they think after Daemon felt Boruto's or Rasengan Uzuhiko shake the entire planet, that he's starting to come around to the idea of Boruto being someone strong enough that he can finally fight at full power, which is something that Daemon up until this point in the series has never done. They say that this will play back to why Ada was initially hesitant to awaken Daemon, because she feared that Daemon's desire to fight strong opponents would outweigh his overprotectiveness that he has towards keeping herself. They go so far as to say that due to her wanting to help Kawaki, it runs the risk of Daemon wanting to stop protecting her and turning against her, which would lead to Daemon trying to stop Kawaki from going after Boruto, which Ada obviously doesn't want to happen because Ada's trying to get Kawaki's D. Now, I want to bring this fan theory to light because we can't really ignore Kawaki's words and behavior towards Daemon and vice versa at the end of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. Daemon saw more potential in Boruto than Kawaki in my opinion, but Kawaki clearly had some smoke that he wanted to dish out towards Daemon even after their first encounter, and Kawaki knew for certain that Daemon wasn't an enemy in the sense that he wasn't going to be throwing hands at Daemon because Daemon wanted to kill Kawaki's oh so precious Naruto-kun. I also think that this is worth bringing up because it goes back to something I said last year about Ada and Daemon's relationship, which is that symbolically they do mirror the relationship between the Japanese Shinto deities Amaterasu and Susanoo, the siblings who have obvious ties to the Uchiha clan, and Kishimoto does love to borrow very heavily from Shinto references and Buddhism in his writing. Susanoo was the wild, rambunctious brother who drove his sister crazy, just as Daemon is the wild, rambunctious brother who is every bit as uncontrollable as Susanoo was. Amaterasu was locked away inside of a cave, and the first thing that she does when she leaves the cave is look into the mirror, just as Ada is a beauty who is sealed away in Boruto's hideout deep within a cave, and the first thing she does when she gets out is she goes to look into a mirror when she gets away from Code. Like Amaterasu, she is apprehensive when it comes to the behavior of her brother, which we see because Ada really did not want to wake Daemon up, and that's something that I've been saying for a few years now on the channel, which is that is a Chekhov's gun, because you don't have her mention not wanting to wake Daemon up and not wanting Daemon released unless there's something that comes from it, which implies that there might have been something that happened between the two in the past. We still don't know the circumstances as to how both of them got sealed. I don't want to rule out my patrons saying that Daemon's desire to have a strong opponent to fight Boruto leads to him being at odds with his sister, either by leveraging his protection for her against his desire to fight Boruto, or just outright stepping in when Kawaki wants to use a Sharingan to track down Boruto because he wants to be the one that fights Boruto. I do think it should be worth noting, Daemon's intention, it is to fight strong enemies, and I think this actually helps my patron's stance here. He's been in Konoha for the last 3 years, under the same roof as Kawaki, yet based on what we've seen, he's never once seemed to have looked at Kawaki and thought to himself, yeah, this kid, this should be the one. This should be the person that I fight at full power. It's just like if we're going out to a club or we're going out to a bar or whatever. At the end of the day, you want to bag a baddie. You want to see if the vibe is there. If you see somebody that's really your type, you're going to go up and shoot your shot at them. If you're not shooting your shot at them, it means you're not interested, or it just means that you're just trying to find somebody to get a nut off because you're running out of time. Basically, it's 2 a.m., the lights come on, and you just grab whatever for the night. So I say that to say Daemon is in a very similar situation. He's got his eyes set on trying to get the strongest person, and that person does not look like it's going to be Kawaki. He is dead set on fighting Boruto. He sensed some type of potential in Boruto, and he is keenly still interested in him. If Kawaki had shown that level of improvement, Daemon wouldn't have been able to help himself. The moment that Kawaki started to approach that level of power, he would have challenged him because it's the opportunity of a lifetime for him to do something he's never done before, which is fight someone at full power. It doesn't have to be Boruto, it can be whoever can hang with Daemon at that level as far as he's concerned, which is another sign Boruto might actually be ahead of Kawaki right now because, as my patron said, Daemon was clearly intrigued with Boruto's potential when he used the Rasengan Uzuhiko to the point that this dude is cheesing and taking an active interest in that fight. There's foreshadowing that Daemon has more interest in Boruto than Kawaki, and he's not passing up that opportunity. I think if my patron does end up being correct, this is actually a really good way to start rebuilding and building more conflict into the story, because this would be something that causes quite a few people to be caught off guard, because Daemon has been so fiercely loyal of his sister that many fans likely have forgotten about Ada's apprehension at wanting to wake up Daemon, especially because this is something releasing on a monthly format. People can't remember what they did 2 days ago, let alone a subtle line dropped in the manga 4 years ago. I really think that should this be the case, we're going to run into the same problem that Attack on Titan did, which is that a lot of people ended up forgetting stuff that was foreshadowed 4 or 5 years before we got a reveal, and then they all of a sudden called it an ass pull and they didn't understand the ending of the manga. But that's not really the author's fault, that's more so a issue for readers, because readers now have such a short attention span, which is ironic because they're consuming media that requires you to have a longer attention span. I think it would also check off one of the boxes of doing something that Kishimoto is known for doing as a writer, which is subvert the expectations of readers by lulling them into a false sense of security to think that one thing is about to happen only to pull out the rug from underneath them and deliver a completely different outcome than the one that they might have been expecting, because it allows him as a writer to muck up the story. And by muck up the story, I mean add an extra layer of conflict that keeps the story rolling, while focusing on something that forces the readers to reassess everything that they thought they knew previously about the series itself. This wouldn't be something you expect. While you have those shinjuu running around and code running around, and we have all those hints that Sarda is being used to have Ada drop off info about what happened with Boruto, the natural conclusion now is that she's going to go back and confirm what Sarda said, which is that Boruto and Code were on opposite ends of the battle, which would also see Shikamaru taking the opportunity to get more intel on what happened in the past, and Kawaki's going to want to know exactly where Boruto is because he's got that hate boner for Boruto's character. If you throw in Daemon wanting Boruto for himself, there's a lot of conflict here that can escalate things to another level, which is why I do think story-wise would actually be very smart to look for more ways to continue raising the stakes. I'm not 100% on board with this being the way that it's done per se, but I don't think it's so far left out field that it borders on some of the Pateron fan theories I've been submitted in the past and did videos on, like Cyborg Minato and Sasuke uses Reaper Death Seal on Ishiki. So I did figure if I'm gonna break my rule on scaling back on doing Boruto fan theory discussions, that this would actually be a good one to do so for, because it grabbed my attention. Now, I don't know where you guys are actually gonna fall on this one in particular, so I do want to hear your thoughts down below. And in the meantime, don't forget to check out my Minato versus Hashirama video if you haven't already, because the editor absolutely cooked on that one. Like, holy, the editor cooked on that one, man.